At approximately 5 a.m., the police breach the building. Mateen is killed. The final toll, 49 dead, 53 wounded. The entire attack, from entering the club to the final breach, lasted approximately 3 hours, the deadliest attack on U.S. soil since 9/11. Mateen had been on the FBI's radar, had been investigated twice, yet authorities found insufficient evidence to prevent the attack. June 12, 2016, Orlando, 2:02 a.m. Omar Mateen walks through the doors of the Pulse Nightclub, armed with a Sig Sauer MCX semi-automatic rifle and a 9mm Glock 17 automatic pistol. Over the next 3 hours, 49 people will die, 53 more will be wounded by gunfire. It will become the deadliest attack on American soil since 9/11. The FBI had investigated Mateen twice. His coworkers had reported him. His ex-wife said he was mentally unstable. He had told friends he wanted to kill people. Every warning sign was there, and nobody stopped him. This is the paradox of lone wolf terrorism. We can see it coming, but we still can't prevent it. I'm Charles Denyer, and this is Threat Level Red, where we expose the threats, the attacks, the operations, and the dangers that shape our world and threaten our security. Today's episode, Lone Wolf Attacks, the threat we can't predict.
Welcome to Threat Level Red, a Charles Denyer Productions podcast. Every week, Charles brings his real-world expertise to the front lines of America's most pressing threats. Cyber attacks, extremist networks, rogue states, terrorism, economic instability, systemic breakdowns, and so much more. From the digital battleground to the streets of America, no threat is left uncovered. No spin, no filters, just intel.
To understand why lone wolf terrorism has become the most dangerous threat we face, you need to know three things. First, according to the FBI and Department of Homeland Security, lone offenders now represent the greatest terrorism threat to the homeland. Not Al-Qaeda, not ISIS, not foreign terrorist organizations, rather individuals acting alone. And why? Because they're nearly impossible to detect using traditional intelligence methods. There's no organizational chatter to intercept, no financial transactions to track, no meetings to surveil. Just one person, radicalized in their bedroom, planning an attack nobody sees coming. Second, research shows that between 2009 and 2015, a domestic terrorist attack or foiled attack occurred every 34 days. Hey, that's not annually, that's monthly. The years 2010 to 2019 have already surpassed every previous decade in both the number of fatalities and the number of attackers. This is not a stable threat. It is escalating. Charleston, South Carolina, San Bernardino, Orlando, El Paso, Pittsburgh, the list keeps growing. These are not coordinated campaigns. They're isolated individuals who've never met, never communicated, never trained together, but they're all part of the same deadly pattern. Third, here's what nobody expected. Research funded by the Department of Justice discovered that 84% of lone wolf terrorists before 9/11 and 76% after 9/11 actually broadcast their intentions before attacking. That's right. They told someone. They posted online. They sent letters. They made videos. Theodore Kaczynski published his manifesto in the New York Times. The Orlando shooter told friends he wanted to kill people. The El Paso shooter posted his manifesto online just minutes before the attack. The warning signs are not subtle. They're screaming. The problem, nobody's really listening. Or when they do listen, they don't report it. Let me walk you through how a lone wolf attack actually unfolds, using Orlando as the template, because it demonstrates every failure point in our detection system. In 2013, Omar Mateen's coworkers at a courthouse security firm report him to the FBI. He's been making inflammatory statements about terrorism. So the FBI opens an investigation. They actually interview him twice. They put him under surveillance, but there's no evidence of criminal activity, no connection to terrorist groups, no specific plot. The investigation closes after 10 months. In 2014, the FBI reopens the file. Mateen has a connection to an American who became a suicide bomber in Syria. Again, they investigate. Again, they find nothing concrete. The case closes. On June 11th, 2016, Mateen is online researching the Pulse nightclub, reading about ISIS propaganda, watching beheading videos. His wife later says she knew something was wrong. His father noticed behavioral changes. However, nobody calls the FBI. Then, on June 12th, 2 a.m., Mateen enters the Pulse nightclub. The first shots were fired at 2:02 a.m. Within minutes, he's killed dozens. At 2:35 a.m., during the attack, he calls 911. He pledges allegiance to ISIS. Now, the FBI later determines he had no operational contact with the terrorist organization beyond this pledge made during the massacre. At approximately 5 a.m., the police breach the building. Mateen is killed. The final toll, 49 dead, 53 wounded. The entire attack, from entering the club to the final breach, lasted approximately 3 hours. Again, the deadliest attack on U.S. soil since 9/11. And here is the critical point. Mateen had been on the FBI's radar, had been investigated twice, yet authorities found insufficient evidence to prevent the attack. But here's what they didn't know. This was not an isolated failure. This was a pattern. The Orlando attack sent shockwaves through America.
Today we're dealing with something that we never imagined and is unimaginable. Since the last update, we have gotten better access to the building. We have cleared the building. And it is with great sadness that I share we have not 20 but 50 casualties. In addition to the shooter,
a poll found nearly 40% of Americans supported banning Muslims from entering the United States. FBI data showed that anti-Muslim hate crimes rose 67% from 2014 to 2015, and Orlando simply accelerated that trend. The national conversation immediately split. Some demanded stronger surveillance, others warned against civil liberties violations. The FBI launched the largest terrorism investigation in its history. President Obama addressed the nation. Security was increased at soft targets nationwide. But within 72 hours, the critical question emerged. How do you stop someone who's acting completely alone? The Orlando attack exposed a systemic problem in counterterrorism. An FBI study of 52 lone offender attacks from 1972 to 2015 revealed that almost 36 acts of terrorism killed 258 people and injured almost 1,000. But the real revelation came from deeper research. Lone actor terrorists were highly likely to verbalize their intent to commit violence by telling friends, families, or a wider audience. They were broadcasting. The problem wasn't lack of signals, it was lack of reporting. Research into lone actor violence consistently shows a critical pattern. More than 75% of lone offenders communicate their intentions to another person before an attack, most often a friend or family member. These disclosures are typically informal, comments, messages, or shared content, and are frequently dismissed as jokes, exaggeration, or venting rather than credible threats. As a result, that information is rarely reported to law enforcement.
A shooter opened fire during a prayer meeting in the church Wednesday night.
We were able to determine that there were 8 deceased individuals inside of the church. 2 individuals were transported to MUSC. One of them has died.
The case of Dylan Roof illustrates this failure point. Before murdering 9 people at a Charleston church, Roof openly posted white supremacist content on Facebook and explicitly told a friend about his plans roughly a week in advance. The friend did not alert authorities, believing the statements were not serious. Importantly, the methods of pre-attack signaling have evolved. What once took the form of letters or written manifestos has now shifted to digital broadcasting, emails, text messages, social media posts, private messages, Twitter feeds, and YouTube videos. This transition has made warning signs more visible, but also easier to ignore, normalize, or misinterpret, fundamentally changing how threats surface and how they are missed. So the FBI responded by reconstituting its Domestic Terrorism Executive Committee and publishing behavioral indicators. They produce guides helping law enforcement and the public recognize potentially dangerous behaviors. But there's a catch. Posting extremist content online is usually not illegal, and it is protected by free speech and privacy laws. The tragic irony, FBI research found that more than half of lone offenders appeared to experience mental health stressors, though most were never diagnosed with any psychiatric disorder. They also found that more than half demonstrated a pervasive distrust and suspiciousness of others, or believed others were plotting to harm them. In short, the warning signs were psychological, social, and behavioral, not just ideological. And today, well, the threat has not diminished. Recent attacks continue the pattern. Buffalo supermarket shooting, Club Q in Colorado, Tree of Life Synagogue in Pittsburgh. And the ideology shifts. White supremacy, anti-LGBTQ hatred, anti-Semitism, jihadism, but the methodology remains constant. Lone actors, radicalized online, broadcasting intent, and still, too often, nobody reports it until it's too late. So what really happened here at the Pulse Nightclub? This was not an intelligence failure in the traditional sense. The FBI did their job with Mateen. They interviewed him twice. They investigated. They found no criminal evidence and closed the case. That's how the system is supposed to work in a free society. The failure was in the space between suspicion and evidence, between concerning behavior and criminal activity. The FBI study revealed that lone offenders were seldom completely isolated despite acting alone. They had friends, family, coworkers. They broadcasted intent. But there's a critical gap. The people who heard the warnings did not recognize them as genuine threats or did not know how to report them. Here's the deeper truth. Researchers concluded that lone wolf terrorists have more in common with mass murderers than with group-based terrorists in terms of mental illness, personal grievances, and social isolation. This reframes everything. We've been treating this as purely a terrorism problem. It's actually a convergence of mental health crisis, social alienation, ideological extremism, and access to weapons. The real lesson? Traditional counterterrorism, signals intelligence, infiltration, surveillance, does not work against an individual acting alone. Bottom line, violent extremists are broadcasting what they're doing if you're listening. Supporting early intervention, therefore, is a way to prevent mass violence. The solution is not more government surveillance. It's community awareness, mental health intervention, and creating mechanisms for people to report concerning behavior without fear of overreaction or retribution. Here's the one thing that should terrify you. We know how to identify these threats before they act. Research has clearly identified a clear radicalization pathway. Personal and political grievances, affinity with online sympathizers, identification of an enabler, broadcasting of intent, then a triggering event that catalyzes the attack. We have the model. We know the warning signs. 84% broadcast their intentions through emails, social media, statements to friends and family, even to letters to Congress and the President of the United States. But knowing is not preventing. Right now, someone is posting violent content online. Someone is telling a friend they want to hurt people. Someone is accumulating weapons and manifesto writing skills. The question is not whether there will be another lone wolf attack. The statistical certainty is overwhelming. It will happen. The question is whether the person who hears the warning this time, the roommate, the coworker, the family member, the social media connection, will recognize it for what it is and report it. Because here's what the research proves. Lone wolf terrorism is preventable through early intervention by peers, community organizations, and mental health professionals, not just the authorities. The next attack will be stopped or enabled by someone who is not in law enforcement, is not in intelligence, is not trained in counterterrorism. Just someone who heard something disturbing and had to decide whether to speak up. The wolves are broadcasting. The question is, are we finally ready to listen? Thanks for listening. I'm your host, Charles Denyer. This is Threat Level Red.
Threat Level Red is a Charles Denyer Productions podcast. For more information, visit charlesdenyer.com to learn more about current and upcoming podcasts and episodes, current and future book publications, professional services offered by Charles, and much more. All opinions expressed are those of the host and do not reflect the official positions of any government agency, military branch, or national security organization.